Lyric Rivera. My pronouns are they, them, and I am the best-selling author of the business ethics book, Workplace Neurodiversity Rising. I am also known online as the Neurodivergent Rebel. I make autism, neurodiversity, and other kinds of videos. And before we get going on today's video, I'm going to address the goat in the room. Yes, my shirt has goats on it. Because why not? In today's video, I'm going to talk about what neurodiversity is and why it is extremely important in Autism Month and really all year long. And if you would like to know more, please stay tuned. Welcome back. Neurodiversity is important in Autism Acceptance Month because it recognizes and values the diversity of human minds, including autistic people. Neurodiversity acknowledges that autism is not something that needs to be fixed or cured, but instead a natural variation of the human experience. When we embrace neurodiversity, we promote acceptance and inclusion, break down stigmas and stereotypes, help to create a culture of understanding and support, recognize the strengths and contributions of autistic and other neurodivergent people, advocate for accommodations and accessibility, help shift the focus from awareness to acceptance, celebration, and empowerment. So, what is neurodiversity? Neurodiversity refers to the idea that there is a natural and broad spectrum of experiences and expressions that occur within the human brain and nervous system, including differences in cognitive, sensory, and emotional experiences that can vary significantly from person to person. Neurodiversity recognizes and celebrates these differences as natural variations of the human experience that should be supported, challenging society's widely held views that neurodivergent people are problems to be solved, asking neuronormative people to examine their biases towards neurodivergent people when we show up and engage in the world differently than our peers do, because our brains are literally wired differently, looking at the ways this can cause us to be judged unfairly or inaccurately, as well as examining the systemic barriers that hinder neurodivergent success. In short, neurotypical is not the default state of humanity. It is simply an average our society has been designed to cater to. I also feel it's very important for me to mention that Judy Singer did not invent neurodiversity. This is a concept that was developed collectively. I feel I personally need to note and put this out there in a video because for a long time, many people, myself included, have attributed Judy Singer to the invention and theorization of this term. However, I have been made aware that Judy's claim as the originator of this theory and term are untrue. Therefore, I feel compelled to put this out there to help combat misinformation that I myself have spread. When you know better, do better. This is me trying to do better because I know better now. So just going to throw that note in there real quick. Neurodiversity is really important because it gives us a new, more balanced human way of viewing people with brain differences more compassionately instead of blaming neurodivergent people for struggling against systemic barriers. It also asks us to look at how we can empower neurodivergent and all people by creating spaces and environments that consider all kinds of minds in their design and policy, actively removing obstacles that hinder people's success. Neurodiversity changed my life because it changed the way I understood myself and everyone around me and my relation to everyone around me. For the first time, I was able to feel pride in myself instead of shame for my differences and my weaknesses. Neuroinclusion is another way we can make spaces safe for neurodivergent people. Neuroinclusion, brain inclusion, is inclusion and accessibility for everyone with a brain. That's you too. By embracing neurodiversity and neuroinclusion, we aim to create inclusive environments that support and empower people of all brain types, promoting equal opportunities for everyone's participation, support, and well-being. Neurotypicals too. Neurodiversity and neuroinclusion aren't just about neurodivergent people. They are about understanding, supporting, and appreciating neurodiverse groups of people, and the diversity of the human experience of everyone with a brain. Really quick before we move on, a group of people with diverse brains is called a neurodiverse group. Neurodiverse groups of people will typically include both people who are neurodivergent as well as those who are neuronormative or neurotypical or neuroaverage. And so both of these types of people will typically be within a neurodiverse group. Neurodivergent people's differences are cognitive. They're also often invisible and impact how we interpret and engage with the world, as well as how we process and share information, our emotions, sensory information, and how we interact and communicate with others. Some neurodivergent people also experience differences in how they experience and express movement. Many forms of neurodivergence are lifelong, and many people are born neurodivergent. Still, there are many types of neurodivergence that can be acquired through circumstances or events that can happen in one's life. Human brains are complicated and amazingly adaptive. They can also be quite fragile. The brains of people can be altered based on experiences that happen in our lives, such as trauma, abuse, and injuries. People who manage to grow up in circumstances where they are nurtured will have very different brains and experiences from those of us who grew up in broken homes or abusive and traumatic situations. Even as adults, a person's brain can be forever or temporarily altered, causing one's perception of their emotions, the world around them, or communication abilities to change. Post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injuries, anxiety, depression, these are all conditions that can majorly alter the way a person experiences life, long or short term. Additionally, when someone is neurodivergent, they are often neurodivergent in multiple ways. Many of us have layers to our neurodivergence, or multiple neurotypes or brain types. For example, autism and ADHD co-occur so frequently that autistic ADHDers online have coined the term ADHD to describe the experience of being both autistic and ADHD at once. Regardless of whether someone's brain differences are the ones they are born with or the ones they are acquiring in life, whether they're permanent or they're temporary, the more layers someone has, the further they diverge from what is considered average, and the more support they are going to need to thrive and find safety within systems and spaces that were designed for the neuronormative average. However these brain differences originate, what matters is each brain's owner is experiencing the world differently from those around them, because no two humans, even those with the same brain types, will experience the world in exactly the same way. Neurodiversity is all about understanding, humanizing, empowering, and accepting the natural differences between human brains, whether it's the differences we're born with, autism, ADHD, dyslexia, hyperlexia, or the differences we acquire in life, like post-traumatic stress, anxiety, and other mental health conditions. It also asks us to examine and work towards overcoming systemic barriers that hinder neurodivergent people's success. Systemic barriers such as ableism, lack of accommodations, biases, and stigma harm neurodivergent people by perpetuating exclusion, limiting our access to education, employment, healthcare, and can also lead to higher rates of mental health issues, poverty, and social isolation. For too long, autistic and other neurodivergent people have experienced blame for the discrimination, marginalization, and exclusion we face in society, thanks to the continued perpetuation of harmful stereotypes and limited opportunities. Our needs are often pathologized, and we are frequently treated as if we are problems to be solved, rather than recognizing and addressing the systemic issues that create barriers to our equitable inclusion in society, neglecting the opportunity for meaningful support and accommodation. The failure of society to recognize the vast diversity of human experience harms all of us. I'm not saying this harm is intentional. Most people simply don't know any better than what they've been led to believe. That's why I make videos like this one, helping to educate people, because a lot of people just don't know any better. You can help by sharing this video or subscribing on my Patreon or my Substack. If you would like to learn more, you can buy my book, Workplace Neurodiversity Rising. I will talk to you all soon. See you next time.